Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Team Param Vedanta extends a warm welcome for the 49th session of DISHA, an inward journey to discover our inner strength and happiness through Bhagavad Gita. Today, we are going to commence the study of chapter 11, Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. Srimati Apeksha will help us understand verses 1 to 8 of this chapter. She will also touch upon the topic of Karma Yoga as explained in Tattvabodha. Dr. Kiran sir will introduce us to the topic and later conclude today's presentation with his valuable insights. The teaching quiz will be conducted by Dr. Satyanarayana. Before we begin the presentation, we have our usual shloka time. Over to you, Sri Venkatesh Prasad sir.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Ahimsa or non-violence is a phrase that was popularized by Mahatma Gandhi. He took the religious principle of ahimsa, doing no harm, common to Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism, and turned it into a non-violent tool for mass action. He used it to fight not only colonial rule, but social evils such as racial discrimination and untouchability as well. The phrase Ahimsa Paramo Dharma is mentioned several times in Mahabharata. In Adi Parva, Sauti Muni talking about Rishi Sahasrapath, telling Rishi Ruru about the characteristics of Brahmana. A Brahmana should never take the life of any creature. However, a Kshatriya may do so, as it may be required to ensure proper rule of law and order. In the Vanaparva, Markandeya Muni is narrating the discussion between a Brahmana named Kaushika and a poultry monger named Dharmavyadha who lived in Mithila. The Kaushika asked the fowler, "How shall I know what is virtuous conduct?" In answering, Dharmavyadha states that virtuous men are always kind to all creatures. They abstain from doing injury to any creature and are never rude in speech. Those good men who know well the consequences of the fruition of their good and evil deeds are commended by virtuous men. In Anushasana Parva, Yudhishthira asks Bhima, how can killing be avoided if meat is to be offered in offering, Shraddha, in honor of ancestors? Bhishma answers by stating that abstention from eating meat is a great sacrifice and provides many benefits. He goes on to state that a person of cleansed soul should be compassionate to all living creatures. Loosely translated, Ahimsa means non-violence, Paramo means topmost, ultimate or supreme, and Dharma means duty. The universal sense leads to an unconditional and unilateral abandonment of violent resistance under any and all circumstances, as in the philosophy of Buddhists and Jains. But Sanatana Dharma does not impose total non-violence on its followers, except in the case of aesthetics. Ahimsa is a general dharma that is superseded with himsa, violence, in order to protect dharma. The statement taken in full context and meaning within Sanatana Dharma as is applicable to most people is Ahimsa Paramo Dharmaha, Dharmo Himsa Tathaivacha. Non-violence is the ultimate dharma. So too is violence in service of dharma. Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita tells Arjuna in verse 32 of chapter 2, Atha chettvamimam dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi tata swadharma kirtincha hitva papam avapsyasi. If, however, you do not fight this religious war, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. Ahimsa Paramo Dharma can only be practiced by sannyasin who treads the path of Nivritti Marga. It cannot be strictly practiced by householders. If someone enters the house and molests a lady, a householder cannot keep quiet. Similarly, in a war, a soldier cannot put down his weapons. In either case, practicing ahimsa would be adharma, not dharma. Similarly, a king must protect his subjects, even if it requires violence to punish criminals or going to war with neighboring kingdoms if they attack. We may see all our gods carry a weapon in their hands. Why? Lord Krishna answers this in chapter 4, verse 8. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkrutam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. The Lord clearly states that ahimsa, while highly regarded, is not the highest dharma for everyone, and certainly not for Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Hari Om. Thank you.
Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyama Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. Friends, goal of every human being, if you analyze, ultimately boils down to freedom. Swamiji says it is security, peace, and happiness. But if all of that can be put into one basket and you ask what is that one thing which everybody longs for, every human being longs for, it is freedom. What is freedom? First, we should understand. Is it a feeling? Is it an anubhava? I will tell you how it can be wrong. Imagine you are taken to a beautiful palace like Mysore Palace or Jaipur Palace and says, this whole palace is yours, enjoy. You will be the happiest person. And then when you are eating that feast, suddenly somebody comes and whispers in your ears, this palace is yours, but you can never leave the palace. All that food, that beautiful feast which is in front of your table, suddenly appears to be dry and tasteless. Even though that palace is so huge that it may take a lifetime to, and see the nook and corner of it, still the fear lurks in your mind. All that you were enjoying suddenly converts into a fear, and it looks dry and bare. So freedom is not just a feeling, it is the knowledge. That knowledge that you're free and there is nothing or no fear in it. And one more thing, as you have seen in this Truman Show, a beautiful movie by Jim Carrey, he is in a TV show, but he doesn't know. And he has a beautiful wife, children, everything. And suddenly he gets a clue that he is in the show. In spite of being promised all the riches and everything in the world, he chooses to break free. That is how everything is. And this feeling, one more drawback is as a beginning and end. I was feeling sad, I'm feeling happy now, and later I will feel happy. So, anubhava or whatever experience is not infinite. Hence, it cannot be a source of complete happiness, that is ananta or happiness. Just like this flower was not there before, now it came. Then later on, it may not be there. But I'll tell you, the knowledge as beginning and endless. Because you may say, oh, this flower was not there before and now it has come. So the knowledge of the flower must be just temporary. But the knowledge that there was no flower is there. So I know not something is there. Once I know not is there, I will learn about it, and the knowledge is unrevealed, or it is revealed, unraveled, sorry. So ultimately, this knowledge is infinite and is always there. And only when we say there is ignorance, it is misconception or misunderstanding. Always there is a knowledge of either presence or absence of anything. So let us see what all the types of knowledge we have. One is paroksha, that is, we have learned from somebody. We have learned from book. Okay, Taj Mahal is very beautiful building. It is made up of precious stones and etc. etc. This is a paroksha. Then I get an opportunity. I see Taj Mahal. This is pratyaksha. Whatever I have read, you realize has felt short of it. And then whatever you're seeing, you're feeling it, that is much more beyond it. That is what many of us experience when we visit, sites like Kailash and other things. This is pratyaksha anubhava or pratyaksha knowledge, we can say. Next, we'll move on to aporoksha. Aparoksha means you and knowledge, there is no difference. That means you are the embodiment of knowledge and there is no difference between that. Let me give a simple example, though not accurate. Sugar. Somebody who has never tasted sugar, he comes and asks you how this sugar tastes. You have tasted sugar, you tell him it tastes like this, it tastes like that, and it is sweet and all that, but he can't make out anything because he has never tasted. And he will be asking counter, and you will give a big theory. He will say, okay, 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 I understood and all. But ultimately, you give him a sugar cube, he puts into his mouth. There is no difference. That is Advaita, and you don't have to explain to him further what is sugar or what is sweet. This is not ideal aparoksha, but this is one of the way. And if anybody wants to ask about you, just because you're in the dark or nobody knows about you, doesn't mean that I am not there. This is another example of aparoksha. Now, this knowledge of God, as we are learning, can be phased into three phases. That is paroksha, we have learned about it through somebody or some books. Then pratyaksha, that is we have darshanam in different ways. We have seen in bhakti, movement and other places like Prahlad has got darshanam of Lord Narasimha and so on and so forth. They have got pratyaksha anubhava, but that is also not complete. The aparoksha is the ultimate understanding of the God. That is, there is no difference between us and the God, and we are one. That is called Aham Brahma Asmi. This understanding, again, I will ask you, okay, imagine I've got a aparoksha understanding or a God understanding everything. How is it manifested? How XYZ knows about it? Again, when this aparoksha knowledge becomes either paroksha or pratyaksha, this is manifested. I'll give you an example. A Carnatic singer has learned over years, and she has all that Carnatic music has become imbibed in her. But you don't know. No, it is not written on her face or anything. But once she starts singing, that aparoksha knowledge or that was there has become manifested. A surgeon is doing a surgery. He has learned many things that has become imbibed in him. There's no difference. But it becomes manifest when he operates, when he treats the patient, there's a difference and people can make out the difference. So how is this aparoksha knowledge of God is manifested? How is it manifested? It is manifested as the world. There's no difference between God and the world. Only thing is you are looking through the filters. This, sun is very bright, summer is hot and things like that. But God is manifesting through sun, through world as it should be. Our own conditioning, our own filters have added Maya and other force to it. And in its essence, the world is nothing but pure God manifested. This I am not told. This has come in Purusha Suktam itself. As he says, Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasra. The Purusha has 1,000 heads, 1,000 eyes, 1,000 feet. It signifies every being, everything in this world. And then he goes on, says, Purusha evidam sarvam. That means he is indeed all this creation in essence. He is the manifestation that through conditioning we are seeing it as it is. And then he says, he is greater than any words which can be described, because only one part is being manifested, whereas the three part is beyond manifestation. This is what he has described. This is the seed of Purusha, of what we are going to learn, that is Vishwarupa Darshanam, which is one of the most beautiful chapters in the whole Bhagavad Gita. In fact, in the end, when Sanjaya was asked which part you liked, he says, this part of Vishwarupa, Yogeshwara Krishna, this Rupa is the one which will be with me for a long time, he says. Why it is, we will learn right now. Apeksha ji is an ardent student of Param Vedanta. She also has her own YouTube cooking channel, which many of us enjoy. So she will be talking about the introductory verses of this great chapter. And also, she will tell us Karma Yoga part, which is taken from Tattvabodha. Over to you, Apeksha.
Hari Om, everyone. We are going to look at the chapter 11, the yoga of the vision of the cosmic consciousness. Ekadasha Dhyaya Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. This is the vision of the Lord as Vishwarupa, the Lord whose form is nothing but the very universe itself. We are going to look at the very beautiful 8 verses that are described in the next slide. Next slide, please. How to invoke Vishwarupa Darshan. So in our scriptures, if you would see, there was a method that was told that if you needed to have Ekarupa Ishvara Darshana, or if you wanted to look the deity or the Lord in any form, there's a particular method that you need to do. And here they talk about it is you invite the form that you love, whether it can be Rama, Krishna, or Shiva. That's whoever is your Ishta Devta, you invite the form, and then you do meditation. That is tapas. You do tapas, which is meditation, chanting, visualization on that form for a certain amount of time and certain amount of number of mantras you speak, special mantra, and then that you have the Ekarupa Ishvara Darshan. So you will have the darshan in the form of Rama, Krishna, or Shiva. But if you want to have a Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshanam, which is being talked about in this chapter, can you invite the Lord to come in the form of the world? You cannot. Why? Because Lord has already arrived in the form of the world. And when did he arrive? He was always there. Even before our birth, he was there in the form of the world. Next slide, please. There's only one method by which you can have Vishwarupa Darshan. That is, be very careful here. That is to train your mind to look at the world as a manifestation of the Lord. You can, only by this method, you can have Vishwarupa Darshan. So you have to train your mind to look at this world as the manifestation of the Lord. But how do you do it? Obviously, that's the first question that arises. So there is again only one method of doing this is by clearly understanding and assimilating inside you that the Lord alone manifests in the form of the world. Let me give you an example here. You're looking at these ornaments, right? There are so many ornaments there, but gold is present in every ornament. Similarly, in this world, you will see different shapes, different forms, different things, but Lord is present in every form. So as you already know, right, divya cakṣuḥ. People talk about it. Do you need to have divya cakṣuḥ to only, look at Lord? What is this divya cakṣuḥ? Is it a physical eye? It is a mystical vision? What is it? Is it the third eye that opens up? What is it by which you can see Lord? This Vishwarupa Darshanam. It is neither a physical eye nor a mystical vision. It is very simple. In simple words, is a change of perspective. We will look at an example which will help it clear, but change of perspective. Divya cakṣuḥ is the eye of wisdom, the eye of understanding that Lord is everywhere. So let's see. You're looking at the picture of a laddu here, right? These are simple laddu. If you love laddus, you'll be tempted and you'll pick up the laddu and eat it. And then somebody comes and tells in your ear, this is, Tirupati Prasada. And suddenly your reverence for this laddu changes and you will look at these laddu with so much of reverence. It will go through your eyes and you will enjoy every single bit even more. So what happened here is, very carefully we should understand, intellectual information, invisible information was given to you in your ear that this is Tirupati Prasada. So change in perception happened, which changed our attitude towards this laddu. From a mere laddu, it became a prasada. Next slide, please. So similarly, in that also, this intellectual information, if you assimilate this teaching that God is the cause of everything, a perspective change will take place. This world is also, it has an extra feature, which is divine, which is non-physical, which you cannot see. Just like prasada, you didn't know. Somebody told you, right? It's prasada, and that changed your perspective. Similarly, the feature that is, which is non-physical and you cannot see is that this world is divine. Once you learn this, once you understand this, once you assimilate this, that God is everywhere, giving you darshan in every form and size available. Next slide, please. So we'll look at verse by verse. So first was Arjuna Uvachaha. Mada anugraya paramam guhyam madhyatma sangitam yatva yoktam vachastenam mohyam vigatomam. Arjuna said, the supreme secret teaching named Adhyatma has been imparted by you for blessing me. This delusion of mine has gone by that. Next slide. So in this verse, Arjuna is just giving the summary of 6 chapters to Lord Krishna. He says, the essence, you have told me the essence of this life is Jiva Swarupa Varnam. There is no individual Jiva, this is the individual Jiva, that is not the physical body. Physical body is temporary, mind is temporary. So I am neither this body, nor I am this mind, but I am of the nature of Chaitanyam, the consciousness principle. So I've understood that from the first 6 chapters. Next slide, please. The delusion of my mind that were present initially in the first chapter has gone. I was confused, deluded, whether I should kill my gurus like Bhishma, Drona. It's a mahapapam. Whereas I looked at the other side where you said Hinsa is okay for the protection of Dharma because Bhagwan himself destroys people. Now, because of the teachings that you have given to me, my delusion of mind is gone. Next slide, please. So in the second verse, he actually gives summary of the next 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th chapter. So he says, Bhava apyayo hi bhutanam shruto vistarasho maya swataha kamal patraksha mahatmayam api chavya. So here, Arjuna is going to glorify Krishna and address him. His respect has increased manifold for Lord Krishna. And he says, oh Krishna, verily the origin and dissolution of beings as well as your inexhaustible glory were heard by me from you in detail in chapter 7, 8, 9, 10. Next slide, please. So he's giving the summary here. Arjuna's reverence has increased. That's why he addressed Sri Krishna as lotus isle, Kamal Patraksha, he says. So in this, the summary that of chapter 7 and 10 is waves. Just like waves are born out of ocean and resolve into the ocean. There are no waves separate from the ocean, right? Waves are born, they die there, they resolve in the ocean, but the wave is essentially the ocean only. Similarly, this whole creation is like a wave in the ocean of God. The Lord is the material cause of the universe. It means that from the Lord itself, this universe has emerged, it rests there and gets resolved also. So that is why this word is Bhava Apayayu. Creation and dissolution happens within the Lord only. Creation and dissolution of the universe happens within the Lord only. Now we move to the third verse, in which the Arjuna says, Evam eta dhyataha swamatmanam varmeshwara drishtumichhami te rupamay eshwaram purushottam. It is just so as you describe yourself, oh Lord, I desire to see your divine form. Next slide, please. He's further glorifying the Lord here. The reverence can be seen when Arjuna calls Lord as Purushottama and Parameshwara, which means Supreme Lord, the controller. If Bhagwan is the cause and world is the effect cannot be separate from the cause. Therefore, Arjuna says, I understand that the world cannot be separate from the God because God is the cause of this world. Next slide, please. But very important point which happens is, it's intellectual versus emotional understanding. Arjuna is getting confused between both. Intellectually, Arjuna understood. Whole world is the manifestation of God, so it is divine and holy. So he says, I understand it. But the problem is, one side I say everything is God, I understand it intellectually, but on interaction, because of my heavy raga dvesha, dislike, love, hate, comes up, I do not get that joy which I get in the darshanam of the Lord, but I cannot appreciate or cannot, experience that joy when I look at this creation. Intellectually, I understand it, but I do not feel that joy when I have your darshan, as compared to when I see it, the different forms in this world, I do not get that appreciation. So how do I feel that? Next slide, please. So now, very important topic and point comes up here. Darshan of God. Obviously, we assume it is going to be a thrilling experience, right? But here we have to understand this. When Rama met Shabri, we all know she was so thrilled, she was so excited, her life was fulfilled. But when Ravana looked at Rama, nothing happened. He still took Sita away. he still had the fight and he still had those looks, right? So Ravana never felt the same feelings as Shabri felt. Similarly for Krishna also. Kansa never felt like he's going, he's looking at the divine and there was no change in him. So very important is we actually get confused between the object of experience versus our preparedness of the subject of experience. So our preparation is very, very important. The Shabri's preparation of witnessing Lord was very important. Without my preparation, even if Lord Rama comes, Lord Krishna comes right in front of me, nothing will happen. So our preparedness of the subject of experience is very, very important point that we are going to cover here. Next slide, please. Preparedness. So how do we prepare ourselves for Vishwarupa Darshanam? Vishwarupa Darshanam is always available in front of us like Arjuna. And like Arjuna, we all have that difficulty in experiencing that thrilling experience of looking at the divine forms and understanding that Lord is in front of us. The problem is we are not prepared as a seeker, as a devotee. Preparedness is nothing but purity of mind. You have to purify your mind in order, just like Shabri purified her mind in order to witness that thrilling experience of looking at Rama. What does that purity of mind mean? That is reduction of the Shadrupas, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsarya. This is called when you prepare your mind, when you purify your mind, then divya cakṣuḥ comes up, that understanding comes up, that change of perspective comes up. But Arjuna and all of us are missing this mental purity. So he seeks help from Lord Krishna to get this Vishwarupa Darshana. Next slide, please. So in the fourth verse, he says, Manyasya tadi tachakyam maya drishtumati prabho yogeshwara tome tvam darshya atmanam vyayam. He says, oh Lord, if you consider that it can be seen by me, your Vishwarupa Darshanam can be seen by me, then you show it to me, your inexhaustible form, O Lord. Next slide, please. Arjuna is not able to feel the divinity when he experiences the world. So he requests Krishna if he can have that Vishwarupa Darshanam. He does not, his mind is not pure. The purity of mind is not there. Because overnight you cannot purify your mind. It is a time-consuming process. Daily and daily you have to keep purifying your mind. And then once your mind gets purified, the divya cakṣuḥ comes up and that understanding gets assimilated in you. So he requests the Yogeshwara, Lord Krishna here, Lord of all yogis, Lord of miraculous powers, saying, please use your miraculous powers and temporarily please remove the impurity in my mind so that I can enjoy your Vishwarupa Darshanam. Next slide, please. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha. Pashyame Partha Rupani Shato Shata Sashraha Nana Vidhani Divyani Nana Varna Tvitani Cha. The Lord said, oh Arjuna, see, I'm going to help you here. See my divine form of various kinds, various colors and forms in hundreds and in thousands. Next slide. So we will, next slide please. So we'll take 5, 6 and 7th verse together here. Tasya Dityan Vasun. So this is the 5th one. Now the 6th verse we are going to read. I'm going to combine the 5th, 6th and 7th one together. 7th verse together. Pasya Dityan Vasun Rudrashnu Venau Marutstata Bahunya Drishta Purvani Pashyashyayani Bharataha. Oh Arjuna, see the Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwins and Marut. See many wonders which are not seen before. Next slide. The 7th verse also. Ekastam Jagat Krishnam Pasadayam Sacha Sacharacharam Pam Mama Dehe Gudakesha Yachanyat Drishtumichati. Oh Arjuna, see here and now in my body, the entire universe with the movable and the immovable placed together, and also anything else that you desire to see. So we are going to take up these 3 verses together. Next slide, please. Purification, like I said, mental purification of mind is a very slow and gradual process. It involves a long religious life where you follow the dharmas and the values of life as written in our scriptures. But Arjuna requests here from Yogeshwara that please temporarily remove the impurities of my mind. If by a miraculous process we get the purification of mind, we have to understand when Arjuna requests, it's temporary. It will only be temporary because if, like here an example I have taken, if a person is living with an external support system like dialysis, or any other external support ventilator, it's an externally aided living. It cannot last long. So when Arjuna requests for Vishwarupam darshan, it has to be a temporary darshan. Only when we work hard and purify the mind, then alone, the Vishwarupa darshanam is permanent, and we can see this whole world as the manifestation of the Lord in every single second of our life. Next slide. So Krishna says, I am blessing you with the divya cakṣuḥ, which is the mental purification temporarily. Arjuna, may you see the varieties of my forms and colors in hundreds and thousands, because so many forms are available in this world, which are all varieties, varied in nature. That is different colors and different forms. Therefore, the different colors of the sun and the moon, they're all nothing. Different colors of the nature, trees, everything is just Ishvara Varna. Just as different forms of ornaments belong to gold only, similarly, the different forms of this world belong to the Lord only. Next slide, please. What to see in Vishwarupa Darshanam? So Krishna says the Ishvara body is the very Akasha or the sky that we see. See the entire universe, the whole creation is my Shariram. The deities and the demigods, the 12 Adityas, the 8 Vasus, the 11 Rudras, the 2 Ashwinis, and the 49 Maruts. You see everything, whatever in this world, I am there. May we all see that. May we temporarily drop our day-to-day business, temporarily keep our cell phone, which has become such an important thing, sideware, and just watch the universe, just watch the sky, just watch the space. And this whole creation as the Shariram of the God, everything is just a glory of God. If you sit outside and just watch sky for 15 minutes, everything will get dissolved, and you'll see that this change of perspective starts to happen in your mind. And slowly, like you said, it's a long process, daily and daily, that purification of mind will start happening. Next slide, please. Sri Krishna is pointing out the power of the Vishwarupa or cosmic form. Arjuna is able to view the entire universe in one place. He's just saying this is the power. Without leaving the chariot, you can look at the Vishwarupa or the cosmic form. Moreover, he's able to view events that have taken in a million of years in a split second. And what is he able to view? Everything that includes entities that move, entities that are immovable, that are stable. He's able to witness everything. Next slide. So 8th verse, we'll go. Natu mam shakyase drishtum anayanair cakṣuḥ divyam dadami te cakṣuḥ pashyame yogameshwaram. However, Krishna says, you cannot see me with this ordinary eyes of yours. I shall give you a divine eye, and then you see my divine power. Next slide. So in verse 8, Krishna says there are 2 types of cakṣuḥ. One is loukika cakṣuḥ and the other is the divya cakṣuḥ. Krishna says with the loukika cakṣuḥ, you cannot see all this. Only Vishwarupa darshanam requires divya cakṣuḥ. See the world after the change in attitude and you will see the divine glory. I'll give you a small example here. If you look at this India map, right, you can see there are different states, different size, different forms, right? All these states can be 7. But India, these states are forming India. But you have to look at India by forgetting about these different forms and shapes. You forget about all the boundaries inside, and then you see India as the boundary and all the states disappear. Similarly, if you see the world with the change in this attitude, that every form, every state is India only, every form is God only, then you will see the divine glory. Next slide, please. So we have completed the 8 verses here. So we will move towards the second topic, which is very important and very nice. I think all of us should really hear this very sincerely, because if we hear this, we will get to know what should be our right action and right attitude every single day of our life. So the topic here is given to me, and I'm very grateful that this topic was given to me, is Karma Yoga, right action and right attitude. Next slide. So human goals include 4 goals. They can be divided into 2, material accomplishments and spiritual accomplishments. What are material accomplishments? They are in the form of dharma, artha and kama, and spiritual accomplishment is moksha. In scriptures, material accomplishments are just said incidental goals. Even if you have all the material accomplishments, if you do not have the spiritual accomplishment, you will never feel satisfied. the spiritual accomplishment, moksha, is considered the ultimate and the primary goal of life. And every action should be moving towards accomplishing this spiritual goal. Next slide, please. So what is the journey of life as per Tattvabodha, as per our scriptures? The sadhaka, that is the disciple, that is us, through sadhana, a course of discipline which is followed to attain the goal, which is the sadhyam. The goal is the sadhyam, and thus we have to become siddhas. That should be the journey of our life if we have to see end to end. The siddha is not someone who has miraculous power, but who is totally at ease with himself every single moment of his or her life. The siddha is totally at home and ease. Now our sadhana, which is the course of discipline we have to follow to attain the goal of moksha that we have in life, to become the siddha, is broadly classified into 3 levels, and all these 3 levels are compulsory: karma yoga, upasana yoga, and jnana yoga. Next slide. We'll talk about karma yoga here. Karma yoga is nothing but proper action with proper attitude. All human actions are broadly classified into 3 types by our scriptures and based on their spiritual influence. Uttamam karma, which when done, it gives you the maximum positive spiritual influence. Madhyamam karma, intermediate one, which are done to just accomplish material benefits in life. And adhama karma, which are just totally negative spiritual contribution in your life. Next slide, please. Uttamam karmani are the best actions that we should follow. Now, the question arises is, what is Uttama karmani? Uttama karmani can also be known as Sattvika karmani, Para upkara karmani, or Nishkama karmani. And they contribute to our maximum spiritual growth. In nutshell, these are the karmas which benefit maximum number of beings, where you help or contribute towards their well-being. In this, any karma that you do, if you can see, when you give more and take less in return, that is the Uttamam karmani. Next slide, please. But how do you actually perform these Uttama karmani? So our scriptures gives a very beautiful Panchamaha yajna, the 5-fold yajna to this. They are, you have to follow these 5 yajnas in your life, in your daily life, and then you will always perform Uttamam karmani. Deva yajna, Pitru yajna, Brahma yajna, Manushya yajna, Bhuta yajna. Next slide. So we will see now, Deva yajna, as soon as you wake up, every day, in every single moment of your day, Deva yajna is nothing but remembrance of divine worship and prayer of God, where I express my gratitude to the Lord for whatever it has given me and whatever, and then after expressing my gratitude, what can I contribute to the creation? So for that, our scriptures have just told us every single morning when you wake up, just say this prayer, getting up and before sleep. Sarve bhavantu sukhanaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kashyat dukha bhag bhave. It's a sincere, heartfelt, deep prayer. Most powerful contribution any human being can do is, where in this prayer we ask for happiness for the entire humanity, animals and plants, and it also goes beyond this planet. Next slide, please. Pitru Yajna is the remembrance of ancestors. Now, your question must be, what is this Yajna when we talk about? It is nothing but gratitude plus Uppkara together constitutes the Yajna. When I express my gratitude towards the divine, then I'm following the first Deva Yajna. When I express my gratitude towards my forefather, ancestors, because of whom I am here in this world, and my parents were here in this world, and then their parents were here in this world, then we are following the Pitru Yajna. Why it is important? It is Paropkara Karma. Ancestors who do not get Shraddham from their own children, let my offering go to them, because there are orphan ancestors also whose children leave them behind. So when I pray, do this, Esha nama mata na pita na mitranjanti bandhva te sarve tripti mayantu maya uchrishatahi kushudakahi. So when I say this prayer, then I'm basically, expressing my gratitude to all the ancestors, even those ancestors which are orphans. Brahma Yajna, remembrance of the rishis, where I express my gratitude to all the rishis who told us, gave us our all scriptures, who has given us the Vedas. But how can I help the rishis? The rishis do not need help. Where I can help is by spreading this teaching in this entire creation, which was the primary goal of all these rishis. Scriptures, when we spread the knowledge, scriptures help the humanity in two ways. Firstly, the very sound of the scriptures help the humanity in creating peace. When you chant these scriptures, the mantras are so powerful, it creates peace. Secondly, learning and teaching of the scriptural content is very beneficial to the humanity. Next slide, please. Scriptural teaching is considered as the best form of Brahma Yagna. Teaching and not preaching is very important. Where you have to remember that teaching of scriptures takes place in a systematic manner, where preaching is just like if you keep bricks in the room lying around and you pick up just, certain shlokas and give knowledge on that here and there, that is not the systematic teaching. So teaching of systematic teaching here is considered the best form of Brahma Yagna. Charity of time and effort are also good, but the best among them is Vidya Danam. That is clearly written here. Krishna says, that's why in Gita, Krishna says, whoever teaches the Bhagavad Gita, I love him the most. Next slide, please. Manusya Yajna, a remembrance of humanity. All forms of social service will come under this, running orphanages, helping old people, everything will come. But one thing that we have to remember, where most of the people are getting it wrong in today's world, is it cannot be a replacement for other yajnas. People think if I do Manusya Yajna, if I help everyone around me, people around me, then this is the best, I don't have to do Deva Yajna, I don't have to do, my Rishi Yajna, nothing. It says clearly all the yajnas have to be done in order to make it the Uttamam Karmani that we are talking about. Next slide, please. Bhuta Yajna, which is the remembrance of non-human living beings. The beauty of our scriptures is it says that Lord is in every single form of this world, right? Every single form belongs to God only. So all forms of contribution to all the other living beings also contribute to my happy life. All the trees, rivers, let me grow and nourish so that they will do Mangalam to the entire humanity. This is awareness of the totality. Vaidika means the universal citizen. When I become a universal citizen, because I'm aware of this world, the stars, the planets, the solar system, this grand awareness contributes to my maximum spiritual growth. We move to the second type of karma, Madhyama Karmani, which are the middle actions. All kamya karmas, selfish karmas, whether ritualistic or non-ritualistic, when it is done for my materialistic benefit, they do not contribute much to the spiritual growth. It is very limited. Next slide, please. Now we come to Adhama Karmani, which are the worst actions. These are the prohibited actions or corrupted actions or destructive actions. These are very harmful to others and also bring us down spiritually. A karma yogi life, how it is to be led, where Uttama Karmani is the dominant karma, which leads to our spiritual elevation. Madhyama Karmani is very, very less dominant. It is going to be there, but very less dominant because we have to help our families also, lead them, give them a good life. But it leads to, if you only do Madhyama Karmani, it leads to spiritual stagnation. Adhama Karmani has to be zero because it leads to spiritual retrogression in life. But one very basic question happens, some inevitable Adhama Karmani are there because of unavoidable situations, like which are called suna. These are the unavoidable situations, those karmas which cannot be avoided, like using insecticides. How can they be neutralized? By doing more and more of Uttama Karmani, and those 5 Panch Mahayajna that I talked about, the more you incorporate them in life, the less you make the impact of Madhyama Karmani and Adhama Karmani in your life. Next slide. Now, when we have understand the right action, this is the most important side. What should be my attitude in doing all these karmas or the actions that we are doing in our life in every day? Any attitude is born out of right understanding. Every action has to be Ishvara Arpana. Ishwar, we have to do it with Ishvara Arpana Bhavna because God is the cause of everything in this world. So we are just, whenever every action we are doing, we have to give it, arpan it to the God. And when I receive the processed karma, that is the phalam, it is also being given to me by God only, right? So it's a Ishwar Prasada. So in every action, just think of these 4 words, Ishvara Arpana Bhavna plus Prasada Bhavna. So whenever I do any action, I actually arpan it to Bhagwan. And when I receive the result of that action, that is the prasada given to my God. So I have to accept it wholeheartedly without rejecting it. This is called the Samatva Bhavna. which will lead to fast spiritual growth and is called chitta shuddhi. So these two things, uttama karmani, we have to remember every karma should lead to our spiritual growth. And what is the attitude to do those karmas? By having these 4 words engraved in our mind, Ishvara Arpana Bhavna plus Prasada Bhavna. So when these put our 2 together, we move towards Chitta Shuddhi and we move to a very fast spiritual growth in our life. Hari Om.
Thank you, Apeksha. It was a very beautiful explanation and sharing. Lord is present, as we were discussing, is present in the world. He has already manifested. If we don't understand in every being it is there, at first step, every beautiful thing, that is vibhutis or the excellence we see in God. Highest mountain, high skilled archer, wherever we see the highest things, we say Lord is being manifested here. That is one. This is a spiritual journey. It's like a graph. Initially, we see the world is bigger than us and it is seen in multiple forms. Obviously, we have not created it. It was there before. So there is somebody who has created it. So we are living at that time in a triangular format. That is, I have seen the world. I have not created it. So there is a third person called God who has created. Then when we move up, we understand that this God, if he wants to create from some other thing, that substance also must be created, no? So obviously the God himself is the substance he has created. So initially we have seen me, world is separate and God is separate. So God has created. So this is, Ekarupa Ishvara. So somebody says Jesus has created a world. Somebody says, Brahma has created and Vishnu and so on and so forth. This is Ekarupa. This is a culture of fear and domination. That means this God controls everything. If you listen to him, you follow this, it is okay. Otherwise, he is going to punish, you are going to hell, and etc., etc. Then, when we move up in the spiritual order, we understand that there is no difference between the world and the creator. That means creator. That means it is a binary format. Still, I'm not able to reconcile that I am and God are same. Or the essence of me, that is the consciousness in me, and what we see as a Brahman, that is what existence in the world, everything is one and same. This still we are not able to assimilate. This is in a binary format. And when we move to that, that is where the Vishwarupa Ishvara comes. So everything we see, the mountains, the flowers, the birds, everything we see as a manifestation of the God. This is in a what is called as Pratyaksha Rupa or Pratyaksha seeing or Anubhava or Gnana. The beauty of this chapter is, it is a great riddle of Vishwarupa, we like to call it. As Apeksha has told before, we need lot of refinement to have this divya cakṣuḥ. But let me tell you the clue, and Lord Krishna also has told that with his blessings only it is possible. How much ever we refine it and we do it, we can have an understanding of this, but we can never have this Pratyaksha Rupa of Vishwarupa which Arjuna had. There is no qualification after which we can demand that God, I have got this qualification, show me the Vishwarupa. No, it is possible only by the blessing of the Lord, because the upadhi we have is at micro level. All the filters of our mind is at small or micro level, whereas the multi that is in the macro level is what Vishwarupa is. So you have to understand here where our prayatna stops and the grace of the Lord comes. But this Vishwarupa is not essential for Brahma knowledge or Aparoksha knowledge. It is only our understanding which comes along the journey. Arjuna, being a warrior, wanted the Pratyaksha knowledge of it, which Gnanam of this, which many of us even won't fathom it. he had some idea, because we know from his understanding in the 8th chapter, etc., that he knows many of these terms. Probably even Purusha Sukta and other things he may have heard. But being a Kshatriya, valiant warrior, he wanted the Pratyaksha Gnanam. And hence the all compassionate Lord blesses him with that. So remember, how much ever refinement we have, this Vishwarupa is not possible in our present eyes. So that's why this chapter is very important. And in future, further as we move on, we will be learning about the Ugra Rupam, or the concept of time, death, fate, and free will, and many more in this chapter. And as I told, the glory or Vishwarupa is already there. It is here and it is now. There is no need to go in search anywhere else. Now, we also learned about karma yoga, that is the bondage, and this karma itself can be a means of liberation. I want to just stress a little bit how it is possible. Apeksha has covered most of it. The ultimate cause of bondage is desire. Desire emanates from the thing that we are incomplete. That is the triangular format. This is what is the cause of bondage. Does the action itself cause bondage? No. Example I will give. The river flows down through the mountains, etc. And sometimes the flood happens. We have seen earthquake, everything. So much, 24,000 people have died in Turkey and Syria. So can we blame, earth for causing this? No, because the earth itself doesn't have any doership. Only when the doership of I, that is the foolish notion that I have done something, comes, that is when this bondage comes. So once this I or doership goes off, then there is no bondage in any action we do, and automatically it will be aligned with Dharma. So that is the beauty of this. You don't find, I'm an enlightened being, but I'm a thief by night. No, it is not possible like that. Then how to get rid of bondage in every action we do? So we have already learned before, Mai Sarvani Karmani, in that verse, he has given 5 main things. That is, you should have spiritual goal as your first priority. Then we should always have Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. That is, all your action you should dedicate to the Lord. Obviously, when you're doing wrong things, you can't dedicate to the Lord. Nirashri, that is, you should be prepared for all type of situation. Nirmamaha, that is freedom from mamakara. You should not have any attachment. You should have utmost humility. And Vigata Jvaraha, that means you should maintain mental balance, poise, and equanimity. This is coming mainly from the understanding, that is the Jnana, that we have already studied before. So convert every action into a devotion and as a means of inner peace, regardless of experiment. We have done our best, then rest all we will leave it to Lord. One learns to accept any consequences as a gift from Lord without, reaction. And he enjoys whatever phalam gets. So when grace is involved, it is called karma yoga. When fatalism is involved, it is called karma bhoga. This is another beautiful movie, that is Zorba. Here, one of his friends asked him, what do you do? He says, are you joking? I don't do anything. It is my body which does all the work. I just sit and enjoy. This is the vision of yogi. Whatever work he is doing, whether he is a boatman or whether he is a president of a country, whether he is a king, Janaka, anything it is, he enjoys whatever he is doing because he knows it is the body, mind complex which is doing all the work, and he is just a watcher of all the things. He is the Upadrashta. And the opening sentence of Bhagavad Gita is Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetra. This whole body, which is able to do many punya karyas, is why called as Dharma Kshetra. Unprepared mind is a Kurukshetra. As a Kurukshetra, there is no escape from action. As a Gnani, there is no action at all. This is the trick of the Gita and spirituality. And as a Gnani, every action is an expression of God. And there is no need to have any happiness. Every action you do itself is an expression of gratitude to the Lord. Sir says always, two things you should always remember in life: yes and thank you. Whatever God throws at you, whether it is good, whether it is bad, you should always be ready to accept it. Thank you very much. Now we'll have a quiz by Dr. Satyanarayana, Dr. Jagdish, and Pannaga from the verses which we have just studied. Satyanarayana, please take.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So having seen this elaborative session, let us now get into the quiz. Question 1. How do you have Vishwarupa Darshana?
Yeah, it's trying to look at the world as a manifestation of the Lord, the entire world.
Yes, we have to train our mind to look at the world as manifestation of the Lord. Next question. Divya cakṣuḥ technically means?
It's divine eyes. Divya is divine.
Yes, it is. Right. It is the divine eye or the eye of wisdom. We have a next question. What does Arjuna compare the eyes of Krishna? Next, what does the Arjuna compare the eyes of Krishna to?
In this verse, he calls it as Kamala Patraksha, that is lotus petal.
Yes. So Kamala Patraksha, that is what the verse 11.2 says, and it is lotus petal and not lotus leaf. Next question. Arjuna addresses Krishna in initial verses of chapter 11 as what all?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I remember is Purushottama and Yogeshwara. Yeah, I think it's Purushottama and Yogeshwara. Oh.
Yes. So as we have seen last verse, 11.2, last question we have seen, 11.2 verse, he calls as Kamala Patraksha, comparing it to lotus petal. In verse 11.3, he addresses Krishna as Parameshwara, the Supreme Lord. And again in the same verse, Purushottama, the greatest Lord. And next verse 11.4, he addresses Krishna as Yogeshwara. So next question. With respect to Vishwarupa Darshana, it is not availability of Ishvara, but non-preparedness of the seeker. How does the devotee prepare himself for Vishwarupa Darshana?
It is Chitta Shuddhi.
Chitta Shuddhi, yes, the purity of mind. The reduction of Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, and Matsarya. Okay. So next question. What does the term Bhavyapyayu in the verse 11.2 mean?
It's actually origin and dissolution. Srishti and...
Yes, Srishti and Pralaya, the origin and dissolution of the world as such. Okay. So the next question. What actually is Divya cakṣuḥ he is referring to?
It's being devoid of ahankara and mamakara.
Yes, it is ahankara mamakara rahita mind, or it is a prepared mind. That is how we prepare ourselves, and that is gaining Divya cakṣuḥ. Next question. Arjuna addresses Krishna as Yogeshwara. What does this Yogeshwara term mean?
Yeah, Yogeshwara in this context, Swamiji says it's Lord of miraculous powers.
Yes, exactly. So it is Lord of all yogis or Lord of miraculous powers. If you can remember 10.17 verse, Arjuna addresses Krishna as Yogi, and here in 11.4 verse, he addresses as Yogeshwara. So Yogi and Yogeshwara. This is because Arjuna's increased respect to Krishna. That is what we can appreciate here. Next question. Having shown his universal form, Krishna shows what all celestial forms?
Yeah, this was mentioned by Srimati Apeksha also. I may not be able to recall all of them. Aditya, Vasu, Rudra. I don't get the other two.
So it is 12 sons of Aditi, 8 Vasus, 11 Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, and 49 Maruts. That is how 11.6 verse explains. What are the two types of cakṣuḥs referred in verse 11.8?
Yeah, it refers to loukika cakṣuḥ and divya cakṣuḥ.
Yes, exactly. So loukika cakṣuḥ and divya cakṣuḥ. Loukika is the physical eye what we have, and divya cakṣuḥ is the divine eye what you have mentioned already. So next question. A course of discipline that we undertake to accomplish a goal is called as
Sadhana, clearly.
Sadhana, it is correct answer. So sadhaka through sadhana should attain sadhyam and thus become siddha. This is how sadhaka to siddha is the journey of life. Next question. Which among the following contribute to maximum spiritual growth? Uttama karmani. Uttama karmani, satvika, para upakara karmani, nishkama karmani, and all of the above.
Yeah, it's all of the above. All of them contribute.
All of the above, all are synonymous. They are used in the same meaning. So all of the above is the right answer. Next question. Religious worship refers to?
I think it's Devayagna.
Devayagna, that is correct answer. Devayagna is right answer. All these are Panchamahayagnas, and religious worship is Devayagna. Next question we have. Which of the following is considered the best form of Brahma Yagna?
Yeah, this is clearly the motto of Param Vedanta, which is scriptural teaching.
Yes, exactly. Scriptural teaching is the best form, and that is how Swamiji has described also. So next and the last question here. Inevitable adharma karmani because of unavoidable situations are called?
Sunas.
Sunas, correct answer. So they are called as sunas. Thank you all for this.
Oh, many thanks to Dr. Satyanarayana and team for putting up a very interesting quiz. A profound thanks to you, Dr. Kiran sir, for sharing your insights. Our gratitude to Srimati Apeksha for explaining very vividly Lord's Vishwarupa and a clear recall of the most important topic of Karma Yoga. Special thanks are due to Venkatesh Prasad sir for driving home the importance of Ahimsa. Team Param Vedanta thanks each one of you for your active participation and encouraging feedback, making this journey so much more worthwhile. Our next session is on Friday, the 10th of March at 6:45 p.m. and it will be 138th session of Bhagavad Gita verse by verse, wherein we continue with the study of chapter 18, take Moksha Sannyasa Yoga, covering verses 36 to 40. We conclude today's session with our usual prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.